Everybody knows they want to get married someday. That's true. But not everybody knows what makes a marriage successful and what makes a marriage unsuccessful. In this video, we want to look at the 9 things you must know if you want to have a successful marriage. The first thing that many people misread when they go into marriage is because a lot of people come into marriage thinking that marriage is eternal happiness. Marriage is not paradise, and so it's not eternal happiness. Marriage is a relationship between two people that are imperfect. So it's going to be an imperfect relationship. There's going to be happiness. There's going to be unhappiness. There's going to be sadness. There's going to be things to endure. And there's going to be a lot of things to enjoy. Unfortunately, a lot of people, especially young people who are just coming into marriage, they come into marriage thinking that marriage is going to be happy ever after, like a romance novel. Marriage is not a romance novel. It's not constant romance. It's not constant affirmation. It's not constant bliss. There are going to be times when you will be like, why did I get married? Why did I get married to this person? My wife, my husband. There are going to be times that you doubt that you made the right choice. But that doesn't mean you have a wrong marriage. That doesn't mean your marriage is failing. It simply means that marriage is not eternal happiness. There are going to be things you will endure in raising children. There will be some things you will endure in expectations you have from your spouse, from your husband, from your wife. There are going to be a lot of things you will endure because you're not going to have your expectations fully met or perfectly met. There will be expectations that will not be met. Some will be met later. Some will never be met. So it's very healthy. It's very good as you go into marriage, especially as a new person going into marriage. You need to know that marriage is not eternal happiness. There are going to be things you will see in marriage that you will not like, you will not enjoy. There are going to be things you will see in marriage that will make you think, maybe I shouldn't have gotten married, or if I have to get married, maybe I shouldn't get married to this person. And so, but if you know this, you will be prepared. So you will not have shock because marriage is not going to be like dating. Immediately you get married, you start to see after the romance that there are going to be a lot of things that you did not expect, but you need to know them and be ready for them so that your marriage will be strong. The second thing you need to know to have a successful marriage is that you need to know from the beginning that love is not enough. Yes, love is the foundation. Love is the beginning. Love kindles the fire, but love cannot sustain the fire. Chemistry is not enough. Shared hobbies are not enough. Shared values are more important than shared hobbies. You like to read, I like to read. You love to do this, you love to do that. But you have to have values that are core, values that are very important. These values that you share are more important than the hobbies that you share. You need to know from the beginning that compatibility is more important than chemistry. Yes, chemistry is good. Chemistry is passion. Chemistry is the spark. Chemistry is the feelings that are flying. These are good for attraction, but it cannot sustain the marriage. Compatibility means when you say, let's go to church, your partner says, we're going to church. When you say, let's do that, those are the things that can sustain the marriage. And then you need other things. You need money, you need a partnership, a real functional partnership, like you can do things together. You can agree to save money together. You can agree to, be one team together. Just that you are in love is good, but being in love is not going to be enough. Being in love is not going to sustain your marriage in the long term. Being in love is good. It keeps you together. It makes it easy for you to work together, but you must work together. You must learn how to communicate. You must learn how to resolve conflict. You must learn how to do a lot of things. Soft skills are necessary. Hard skills are necessary. You need those skills for your marriage to do well. If you don't have those soft skills that are necessary in marriage, you don't have the hard skills that are necessary in marriage, you don't have the necessary compatibility, you don't have the shared values, then even though you are in love, you will still see your marriage collapse. The third thing you need to know about marriage is that marriage requires skills that we are not always born with. What does that mean? It means marriage requires skills that you need to acquire. Just like you acquire driving skill, you acquire editing skill, you acquire a lot of skills. For your marriage to be successful, there are skills you are not born with. You need to learn them. There may be soft skills, there may be hard skills. For instance, communication skills. Not everybody has them. Some people need to learn how to communicate, how to say what you want in a way that is clear so that your partner understands what you mean. Conflict resolution skills. So not everybody knows how to resolve conflict. Some people think when you want to resolve conflict, you have to shout, or you have to sulk, or you have to keep silent, or you have to build a wall, or you have to bang doors. There are so many things that people do because they want you to know, I'm not happy, there's a conflict, how do we resolve conflict? For you to have a successful marriage, you must acquire skills you are not born with. If you think you want to do your marriage with the skill set that you are born with, your marriage will be struggling. So many people think, I don't need to learn anything for my marriage to be successful. What I already know is enough. If my marriage is not working, then my partner has a problem. No, your partner does not have a problem. Your partner is okay. But there are skills that you are not born with. You are not born with patience. Patience is a skill. You may need to acquire how to be patient. Some people are not born with the skill of forgiving. Some people need to learn how to forgive. You might think everybody can forgive, but not everybody. Some people can say, well, I've forgiven you. Something that happened 6 months ago or even 3 years ago. And then when you're having an argument, they say, remember that thing that happened 3 years ago. Remember that thing that happened 6 months ago. And they say they're forgiven. So you need to learn how to do these things that that you are not born with. So you must learn to forgive. You must learn to make your expectations to be real. So many people expect things that are not real. How do you set your expectations? It's a skill you need to know. How do you know when your expectations are real? How do you know when your expectations are unrealistic? When you need to reduce them or when you need to review them? If you don't acquire these skills, your marriage will struggle and you will think your partner is the problem. We need to know that from the beginning of a marriage, you need to focus on a great partnership. A lot of people make the mistake of focusing on a great party, a great wedding party, not a great partnership. What you are going to have is a wedlock, not a wedding. A wedding is one day. A wedlock is a lifetime. The wedlock continues. You are in a wedlock for as long as you are married. The wedding is just 6 hours, sometimes 3 hours, sometimes less. But a lot of people focus on a great party, which is the wedding. They are not focusing on developing the skills that will make them have a great partnership, which is the wedlock. You need to know this from the beginning for you to have a successful marriage. Don't focus on having a great wedding, on a great party. Focus on having a great wedlock, a great partnership with your spouse. That means every skill that you need to learn to make it easy for you to relate with your partner, to understand your partner, to forgive your partner, to live well, to become one unit with your partner. Those are the things you need to focus on. Today, people focus on event center, focus on ring, focus on cake, focus on colors, pink, blah, blah, blah. And they are not thinking about how am I going to have a great marriage, a great wedding, a great relationship with my partner. So all they've been thinking about while they were dating is just the past. When they get into the marriage, they now found out, look, you have to build a partnership. And there are pillars you need for the partnership, and the pillars are not there. And then they start to struggle. The number 5 thing you need to know to have a successful marriage is you need to understand from the beginning that marriage is 3 relationships in one. Friendship is part of marriage. Love or romance is part of marriage. And marriage is also a business relationship, business partnership. So when you get married, you need to understand that the person you are getting married to has to be your friend. Because every day you are going to be in the same house. Every day you are going to be talking. You are going to be in the same car. You're going to be talking. I mean, if he or she is not your friend, it's going to be difficult for you to talk to them. It's going to be difficult for you to get along. It's going to be difficult for you to have fun, enjoy yourself, do things together. I mean, cook together in the kitchen, share the bedroom, share everything. The person must be your friend. A lot of people go into marriage and they have not built a friendship. They jump into love. They jump into romance. Okay, yes, you are in love. Okay, yes, there's romance, but there's no friendship. You need to know from the beginning that marriage is a friendship. First of all, if you don't have the friendship, it will not be strong. Then you fall in love. Marriage is a love relationship. It's a romantic relationship. That must be in place also. And then marriage is a business transaction. You have to think about saving money, investing money, contributing money, buying a house, planning for retirement, doing a lot of business transactions together. You need to know that you need to have those skills. That's part of marriage. A successful marriage must have the foundations of a friendship, foundations of love, and then the foundations of a business partnership. If you don't have friendship, it will be boring. If it's only love, it will be shallow. If it's only business transaction that you have, it will be transactional and everything is just money, money, money. So all of them have to be there for your marriage to be successful. If one is there and the other 2 is not there, you have a problem. If 2 are there and 1 is not there, you will struggle. For your marriage to be strong and sustained over years, 3 of them needs to be in place. The 6th thing that we need to understand to have a successful marriage is that marriage is a daily choice that we make. Marriage is not just a wedding day promise. I promise to wed thee, promise to be with thee until death do us part. That's a promise we make on a wedding day. But marriage is beyond that. Marriage is a choice you make daily to stay married, to be faithful, to give 100%, not 50-50, to give 100%, to serve your spouse, to do whatever you will do for your marriage to succeed. There are going to be days you don't feel like you want to be married. There are going to be days you don't feel you want to love your spouse. There are going to be days you don't feel like you want to do your best. There are going to be days you don't feel you want to lift anything to make the marriage successful. But that's what makes marriage. It's a daily choice we make, and it's not a feeling. Marriage is something you are called to. It's a calling. Sometimes you don't feel like it, but you still do it. Sometimes you don't feel like talking to your wife, talking to your husband, but you still do it. Sometimes you don't feel like forgiving, but you still do it. Sometimes you don't feel like opening doors for them, but you still do it. You see, you have to know. You have to understand this from the beginning. It's a foundation. It's a pillar. It's a daily choice to stay married. If you don't, one day you are going to jump out of that marriage and say, you are out. The 7th thing that we need to understand for you to have a successful marriage, you need to know from the beginning that in the course of your marriage, your spouse will hurt you. I didn't say they will harm you, but they will hurt you. They're going to say something that will hurt you. They're going to do something that will hurt you. They're going to leave something undone that will hurt you. They probably will say something to your mother or to your father or to your family or to whoever that is close to you that will hurt you. It's obvious. You can't pray it away. It must happen. So you need to be prepared that yes, I know my spouse, though they love you, they're going to do something. They're going to say something. They're going to leave something undone, unsaid that will hurt you. That will make you feel really bad. I don't mean like they will harm you, like maybe hit you with a hammer or attack you with a knife or something. No. They're not going to harm you deliberately, and they're not even going to hurt you deliberately. Nothing will happen. It will be a failure. It will be an error. It will be a mistake. It will be something they are sorry about. But will they hurt you? The answer is yes. Your spouse will hurt you. So you need to be prepared to forgive them when they happen. The next point, which is number 8, is every stage of marriage has a different challenge and requires a different set of skills or a different skill sets. Every stage of marriage has a different different challenge. The early stages of marriage, the first 3 years, first 5 years, you are trying to know yourselves. You are trying to discover yourself. You are trying to become one unit. There are skills that you need. There are challenges that you face. You need to have those skills. You need to face those challenges. And then when you go to the mid stage, when you are raising children, when the children are going off to school, when you are paying school fees, when you are saving money, there are skills you need. There are challenges that will come. The great stage of marriage, when you are now in retirement, they have their own skills. You have an empty nest. Children are gone. Nobody's in the house. Just the two of you. You may feel bored. You may feel lonely. You may want to try some other new things. All of these stages, the early stages, the mid stages, the great stages, they come with different challenges. Different challenges. They require different skills. If you don't have the skills necessary at each stage, at that stage you will struggle. At that stage, your marriage could end. Today we have a lot of great divorce. That means people who are already in their 60s or late 50s, they are retired and their marriages are tired. Their marriages are crushing. Their marriages are collapsing because the skills they need to manage their marriage at this stage of marriage, the great stage of marriage, they don't have them. So we're seeing a lot of great divorce happening. We also see a lot of marriages that end in the mid stages when children are going off to school. So they have to make decisions about who pays the school fees, who does this, who does that, how do we get more money for this, more money for that. Maybe 3 of them at the university. This brings pressure. This brings a lot of things. You need to have the skills to manage that. Unfortunately, a lot of marriages also end at the early stages, first 3 years, first 5 years, because they did not even learn to discover themselves, to know themselves, to build a unit, to become one unit, to accept each other's shortcomings. At every stage where you don't have the skills that you need, your marriage could end at that. The last point that we're going to look at, and it's not the least, is the fact that happiness is overhyped in marriage. I don't think that God created marriage for us to be very happy. That's part of it. God created marriage for us to be holy. The Bible said to avoid fornication. Let every man have his wife. Let every woman have a husband. To avoid fornication. So there's a project of holiness. There's a holiness project built into marriage. So part of why God created marriage is for us to be holy. Marriage is a calling. Marriage is a ministry. Cross. Every calling has a cross. I'm saying that repeatedly. I want you to land. I want you to sink in. Marriage is a calling, and every calling has a cross. So many people want the calling of marriage, but they don't want the cross of marriage. They don't want the endurance that comes from marriage. They don't want the forgiveness that comes from marriage. They don't want the forbearance that comes with marriage. There's always going to be forbearance. There's always going to be long suffering. There's always going to be endurance. There's always going to be some things you don't like that will come. It may be ill health. It may be loss of a job. It may be lack of money. It may be this. It may be that. It will come. It's not like will it come. It's about when will it come. It will come. So, but happiness is overhyped. People just think marriage is one huge happiness project. And that's why today when people are saying, I'm not happy, I don't want my marriage again, I'm done, I'm going, I'm through, because they're not happy. Because all they knew from the beginning is, I'm going into marriage, I'm going into a happiness party. It's not a happiness party. You have to come expecting that like you are going into a calling, a ministry, there will be some things very enjoyable. If this message spoke to you, I want you to share it with other people that are navigating any stage of marriage, early stage, mid stage, great stage, any stage of marriage they are navigating. Share with them and subscribe. If you are new to the channel, my name is Forward, JP Forward. See you in the next one.